Are you someone who invests money through your job, but is looking to level up your game and do even more investing this year? Keep listening to find out about one account to consider. Hello, and welcome to the Wealth Minded MD podcast, where we are your money best friends. I'm Dr. Brittne Helford.
And I'm Dr. Lisha Taylor.
And of course, we're here to help you build wealth and make good money decisions so that you can create the life you desire with more control over your time. Before we get into it, let's hear a word from our sponsor. Hey, Lisha, did you know that about 1 in 4 physicians experience some disability during their career?
Yeah, you know what? It's so striking to me, the numbers of how common this is. In fact, that's what happened with Dr. Stephanie Pearson. She was this super passionate OBGYN physician at the height of her career, and then ended up having a shoulder injury during a precipitous delivery that basically shattered all of her dreams, prevented her from being able to practice medicine in the way that she wanted. She then was determined to make a difference for other females. And so she became a staunch advocate for her peers and helped guide them through the disability insurance process. She even teamed up with expert Scott Ravitz. They founded Pearson and Ravitz. It's basically this company that is determined to approach insurance differently.
They're physician founded and physician focused, which is what I love about the company.
Make sure that you visit pearsonravitz.com today to schedule your consultation with a Pearson Ravitz advisor. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for checking out our podcast. And because of that, we've got something special for you.
We have created this Wealthy Mind Starter Kit. It's everything that you wish you had in your training and in school to get started with your finances with confidence.
In this guide, we're going to give you the steps that you need to get started and take what we call wealthy minded action.
And guess what? The best part, because you know we're all about the deals, is that it is absolutely free. All you have to do is head over to our website, wealthmindedmd.com. Click that yellow button that you see right there. Give us your email and become an official part of the Wealthy Minds community, and we'll send it right to you.
That's right. Go ahead and check out the website. We can't wait for you to get started today.
We'll kick things off with our Life is Lifing segment, and there's always a lot of life over here with 2 small toddlers. Lisha, I really want to know what's going on in your world.
I actually last night was watching a ton of basketball, and that's what's going on in my life without kids. Kind of do what I want at night. And I was watching a ton of basketball. And I know that when this episode comes out, it will be March Madness. There'll be a lot of things happening in the college basketball world. But right now, it was really interesting because there was like NBA games that were on, there were men's college basketball games that were on, and there were women's college basketball games that were on. And I, as a huge basketball fan and sports fan, I've been like following the whole Caitlin Clark story and how she's like one of the best shooters in the NCAA tournament for the women. Actually, she may be one of the best shooters that we've had in a while. And so just watching her play has been really interesting. Watching the LSU women play. I graduated from Duke, so I have a vetted interest in my Duke Blue Devils. And I know that you are a Michigan fan, so we won't talk about that.
Go blue. Go blue.
So it's going to be really interesting that we were chatting beforehand and you were telling me how you are one of the people who does not fill out a bracket when it comes to college basketball. An abomination. I feel like it's what happens when people are at their jobs. It's like makes work fun. But I don't know. Maybe people aren't fun where you are. I don't know.
I think there are people who definitely fill out their brackets. It's just that I don't have much stake in the game and I have no awareness. I would literally ask someone, who are all the teams that I should include on here, and fill it out and just maybe alphabetical order. Of course, I'm going to put Michigan at the top as a winner, but everybody else, you just fall in line.
You know what? This would actually be interesting. Quick segue. When I worked in finance in Washington, D.C., we would have this office pool with the NFL games each week. And basically, everyone on, I think it was Wednesdays, it would be due. They would have a list of all of the NFL football games that were going to be happening that week. And you had to predict which team you thought would win. And each week on Monday, the person who had the most winners or picked correctly the most, they would get, I think it was a large amount of money. We were working in finance, right? It was like $500 or something crazy each week. And so because the prize was so high, Everybody in our office was so excited about this, from the office
Yeah.
managers to women who had never watched sports in their lives. Like, they were just all about it because they were like, "Man, I can get this big payday." And I mention this because there was this one lady who did not know anything about sports, did not care about sports. She didn't care about football. The only thing she cared about was if she was going to win that money. And each week she would make her predictions based on the team's mascot. And she would just choose which mascot she liked better. We had a lady who would just do pick based on geographical region. And some of us into sports, we'd be like, what? There's no way this team's going to beat that team. But they would make these predictions. And the crazy part is they won multiple
Yeah.
times because of the, like, randomness of who wins the games. And so it was fun. It was like a good fun thing. I'm telling you this to say this has nothing to do with our podcast, by the way. Brittany, you should open up your mind to doing the brackets just to make it fun. I don't know.
If my group were to do something like that, then I would definitely contribute and pick some randomness or have my kids order it. But right now, I'm not jumping on anybody's bandwagon because I don't have the time nor capacity or know how to fill it in.
Enough about that. We are going to get into our financial focus for this week. And I'm actually really excited about this. I know this is one of your favorite topics, and that is the Roth IRA. We're talking about different kinds of investments. And it's really interesting because I think for a lot of people, they may be listening to us or have listened to other podcasts and shows and read books or talked to people, and they've made the decision that they want to invest money for themselves, for their future, try to build wealth. For a lot of people, the next step is, how do I do that? Right? How do I invest? What do I invest in? What are the steps that I need to take? And for a lot of people, I'm telling them you might already be investing in a way that you didn't realize. And that means you may already be investing through your job's 401k or 403b or what have you. And what we're trying to get people to do is to obviously invest through their job, invest through retirement accounts that may be open to you through your job due to their tax benefits and you getting a match and other perks of doing so. But take it a step further and say, can I invest in another way as well? And one of the other ways to invest, one of the other accounts to use to invest is something called the Roth IRA. And this episode right now, our financial focus about why that is so important and why that's such a good account to also consider in addition to your work 401k or 403b.
And as you all may know from listening to our trailer, I actually really love this account because I personally feel, and we'll talk a little bit more about this, but I didn't really optimize the use of this account. Roth IRAs, and when we say IRAs, it stands for individual retirement accounts. Roth IRAs, I don't know about you, Lisha, but I feel like they can be a bit confusing, like when you dive into the nitty gritty and get really granular. What we want to do in this episode is to help to demystify some of what you might be considering about Roth IRAs, make it really simple by providing you with various scenarios of how this account can be utilized and speaking about the benefits, the risks, the wins, the whats, the whys of Roth IRAs in various scenarios. Hopefully, you can identify with some of the individuals that we'll talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned something that I probably should have started with, and that's that a Roth IRA is a type of individual retirement account. And oftentimes, when I'm telling people that, they look at me and they give me the side eye and they say, Leisha, I'm trying to invest. Why are you trying to get me to open a retirement account? What? And my response to them is, okay, if you're going to invest, there's different accounts through which you invest.
Mhm.
And one of the reasons why we are talking about a retirement account is because oftentimes it's these types of retirement accounts that have different benefits. And so, even though you may not be thinking about retiring for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, or more, when you invest through retirement accounts, you have so many more benefits available to you, whether it's tax benefits, asset protection benefits, or otherwise. And so, oftentimes, that's why when people start investing, and especially as physicians, we start thinking about, okay, yeah, you can invest, but are there tax efficient ways to invest? Yeah, you can invest, but are there ways that you can invest that will protect your assets or protect your investments a little bit more? And the Roth IRA is a perfect account because it allows you to do that. It offers you more asset protection, it offers you more tax benefits while still giving you a good amount of choices of things to invest in. And so I think As you were alluding to, Brittany, one of the best ways for us to talk about Roth IRAs is talk about the three different scenarios that as physicians and women in healthcare we often see. And so we think it would be helpful to talk through these different scenarios because you might, as listeners, see yourself or hear yourself in one of these different scenarios. The first one that I'm hoping Brittany can break down for us is, let's say you got a physician in training. And for those who aren't physicians who may be listening, you go to undergrad, you get your degree, and then you apply and you go to medical school, then you graduate from medical school, and then you have to specialize or you have to choose your field, right? Are you going to be a pediatrician and specialize in pediatrics? Are you going to be a surgeon and specialize in surgery? Are you going to be a radiologist, et cetera, et cetera? And so you choose your specialty. And once you choose your specialty, you then have to go through a period of training called residency and sometimes even additional training called fellowship before you can practice on your own. So this first scenario is related to that, right? What do you do if you're a physician in training, or maybe you're a nurse in training, or a physician assistant in training, or a nurse practitioner in training, or whatever it is? You're somebody in training, or you're somebody who makes, let's say, for the sake of this situation, under $100,000 a year. If you're someone who makes less than six figures a year because you're in training or whatnot, and you've heard about investing, but you're not quite sure how to do it, what would you tell this person, Brittany, in terms of the Roth IRA? Like, how would you help them understand, like, why it's beneficial and how they could invest in this account?
Let's just start with a Roth designation because we're talking specifically about individual retirement accounts, but that Roth designation actually has some significance. When we say a Roth IRA, we mean an individual retirement account that you're going to be investing in, that you are making contributions with post tax dollars. Basically, what that means is that you've already paid taxes on the money and now you're going to put it in this investment account. There are other accounts like traditional IRAs, traditional individual retirement accounts, that you make contributions with pre tax dollars. That means that you don't pay taxes on the money today, but when you pull the money out during retirement, you will pay ordinary income tax on that bucket of money. One of the benefits of a Roth, especially as you are a person in training or you're making under $100,000, is that you can pay the taxes on this money, invest it into a Roth IRA, and allow that money to grow tax free. That means anytime you're making trades, any growth on that money, you don't have to pay any capital gains tax on that. And all the growth is going to be tax free. And because you've already paid taxes on that money today, when you pull it out in retirement, when you're a millionaire, you're pulling out 500K, I don't know, 200K, whatever it
Yeah.
is, more than what you're currently making, right? When you're pulling that money out, then you will not have to pay any taxes. That's one of the reasons why I feel like this was a missed opportunity for me as a resident physician because I didn't fully utilize a Roth IRA. And now, as an attending, I'm making a lot more money, paying a lot more taxes. It would have been very prudent for me to pay a lower amount of taxes, put the money into a Roth IRA, and then allow the money to grow and pull it out later in retirement, or maybe I don't pull it out later in retirement. One of the unsung benefits of a Roth IRA is that you don't have to take required minimum distributions. What that means is that you don't have to start to pull money out of that account. So you can leave it there until you're 90 and just allow it to grow and grow and leave it as a nest egg for your family. That's the beginning of a Roth IRA. Lisha, tell us a little bit more about what you would advise a resident to do in this situation.
Yeah. So I'd say if you're a resident physician and you're saying to yourself, I want to invest money, we would say to you, okay, one account to definitely consider is a Roth IRA. And as you mentioned, Brittany, when it comes to a Roth IRA, you're contributing money to that account with post tax dollars. All that means is that the money already hit your bank account. Usually, most of us who are employed, our employer is withholding taxes. By the time it hits our paycheck, it's post tax dollars. What that means is you're just taking that post tax dollars and you're literally transferring it into a Roth IRA. And that means you call a brokerage firm like Vanguard, Fidelity, TD Ameritrade, Charles Schwab, whatever, and you literally say the words, I want to open a Roth IRA. And the agent will say, okay, great. And they will help you open up that account. And then you literally link up your bank account and you transfer the money into it. And so that's like how you start investing in a Roth IRA. You transfer the money into the account. And then once the money is in the account, you can choose how you want the money in that account to be invested. But I really do like a Roth IRA for a few reasons. I think one of the first reasons why I like it is what you said, right? Your money can grow to a higher degree because you don't have to ever pay taxes on that money again. Remember, you already paid taxes when you got paid by your employer and that money hit your bank account. And now, if you put that money that you just got from your bank account, if you transfer a portion of that to a Roth IRA account and you invest that money, you never have to pay taxes on the money again. That means you can invest that money in whatever you want, and it can grow from $100 to $1,000 or $100 to $10,000 or $100 to $100,000 or more. And you never have to pay taxes on the money again. And so, one of the reasons why I really like the Roth IRA is because you don't have to pay taxes on the money as it grows, and you don't have to pay taxes on the money when you take it out in retirement. And so that's a
Mhm.
great tax benefit of a Roth IRA. Another thing that I like about a Roth IRA is that, especially for someone in training, you can take your contributions out of the account at any time. Although it is a retirement account, although you are technically supposed to keep it in there until retirement, you can take out your contributions at any time as long as you leave the profits in the account. What do I mean by that? Let's say you put $100 into the account and that $100 grew to $200, or let's say it grew to $250. You can take out the $100 you put in there at any time. You just got to leave the 150 profit in the account. And so I really like that. And I think it was really helpful for me when I was in training is knowing that if something happened, if I needed money for something, I could literally go back to that Roth IRA and say, okay, I'm gonna pull that money out, right? If I got into a car accident, if, I needed to fly back home, if my laptop died, whatever it is, I knew that I could take my contributions out of the account. So I think for a lot of people, having that flexibility is really helpful because when you contribute to your job's 401k or your job's 403b, you don't have that same flexibility. If you want to take money out of the account, you got to do a loan and you got to sign some forms, and it's like really difficult to do. Sometimes you got to pay penalties. It's like a whole thing. But with a Roth IRA, you don't have to go through that. I really
Mhm.
want like the tax benefits of a Roth IRA. I like the flexibility that I can take out my contributions at any time. And another thing that I really love about a Roth IRA is the investment options. When you're investing money through your job's 401k or 403b, you can't just invest in whatever you want. Your job has a list of mutual funds or a list of different investments that you can choose from, right?
Mm.
When you have a Roth IRA, you're in control of it. You have way more options. You can buy individual stocks if you want to. You can buy mutual funds. You can buy index funds. You can buy cryptocurrency. You can invest in real estate. You can do all these other things. So, for a lot of people, they love the Roth IRA because, hey, it allows them to invest. They have way more options. It's tax efficient and they can take out their contributions at any time. So, I think if you're someone in training, if you're someone who makes under six figures and you're thinking, hey, I really want to invest a little bit more money this year, then one of the accounts to consider is a Roth IRA. And Brittany, you wanna tell them maybe how much they can invest each year?
Yeah. Every year, you just want to go to the IRS's website and put in a quick Google search to figure out what is the maximum amount that I can contribute to this account because it changes from year to year. Last year in 2023, it was 6,500. And here's the benefit of when this episode drops. If you're like, oh, I missed it. 2023 is over. Nah, you still got time, girl. What we want you to do is to take a look at your budget, take a look at your expenses. And honestly, if you can contribute any dollar, like a single dollar, probably a little bit more than a dollar, but whatever you could contribute to the account, I would encourage you to do. I know sometimes to do something that you've never done before can be overwhelming. But let me just assuage your fears. You can open up an account with Vanguard or Fidelity. They have phenomenal customer service. Literally, it's just a call saying, hey, I want to do this. I heard about this. Can you help me to open up this Roth IRA account? And they will literally click by click walk you through the process. So I want to just empower you to do that. Any contribution you can make for 2023, you still have until the tax filing date. How the Roth IRA works and traditional IRAs as well is it's on the tax filing calendar. So you have until April 15th to make that contribution. Take a look at your budget and make a contribution. For 2024, the amount that you can contribute is $7,000. So I would encourage you, after you've made your 2023 contribution, sit down with your numbers, look at your budget, and figure out how much can I contribute on a monthly basis and set it up automatically. Every dollar will make a difference, especially as you think about investing. The biggest asset that you have is time. And if you are a person in training, majority of you are probably in your late 20s, early 30s. So you have a lot of years for that money to grow. Really take advantage of this account, make the contributions for 2023 if you can. If not, start to evaluate your expenses for 2024, your income for 2024, and automate a contribution each and every month.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And so if you're a resident, if you're a physician in training, if you're someone in training, anyone who makes under six figures a year, really think about that Roth IRA because of the benefits that we were talking about. And Brittany, I think our next scenario is what would you say to people like us who are attending physicians who make, let's just say, a little bit more than we did in the past? Because this next scenario was basically me talking to some of my colleagues and them saying, you know what, Lisha, I feel like I missed my chance to contribute to a
Mm,
Roth IRA when I was in training. Now I
that
make
speaks to me.
yeah, now I make too much money to contribute to a Roth IRA, and I don't know what to do. I feel like I missed my shot.
Mm.
For a little background, the reason why they're saying that is because per the IRS website, you can only contribute directly to a Roth IRA when you make under a certain amount of money, and I think it's around like $160,000 a year. And so if you're someone who makes around that amount or more, right, then you can't contribute directly to a Roth IRA. And so in this second scenario, there was an attending physician who, let's say, makes more than $160,000 a year and was saying, hey, I missed my shot to contribute to the Roth IRA. What would you say to her?
I want to say that I feel you because I also felt that way. But there is hope. You did not miss your shot. You missed an opportunity to contribute directly into the account. And the direct contribution walking through the front door provides some benefits, like Leisha had highlighted about pulling that money out at any given time of any contributions that you've made. You can pull it out without any penalties or anything like that. Unfortunately, when you can't walk through the front door, as we've highlighted in the resident training scenario, we have to take the back door, but we still get in the building. We still have access to the account. With the backdoor Roth IRA, I like to think about this as an IRA conversion. And the way that I think about the process, I had mentioned that we have this traditional IRAs, which you typically think about traditional accounts as pre-tax accounts. And then the Roth IRAs are usually post-tax accounts. You can utilize the traditional IRA accounts and basically convert it. That's why I call it a Roth IRA conversion into a Roth IRA. Now, how do you do that and why can you do that is the bigger question. Unlike a Roth IRA that has an income limit for singles, Leisha mentioned 160K. For those who are married filing jointly like me, it's about 240K.
Are you rubbing your marriage? Is that what that is?
I am not because the single life when I was in Atlanta without any kids and without a husband, I'm like, oh, I get to just do whatever I want to do. I didn't do anything too crazy, people. Don't let your mind wander. But
I'm just giving you a hard time. Keep going. So
so 240K for married filing jointly. And unlike the Roth IRA, a traditional IRA has no income limits. That means if you make 500K, if you make 300K, whatever that amount is, you can contribute to a traditional IRA. And the reason why we would encourage you to do a Roth conversion is unlike some retirement accounts like your 401K or your 457B, where you will get that tax benefit, the deductibility of your contributions for a traditional IRA are going to max out. So you're actually not going to get the same tax benefits, the pre-tax benefits from using the traditional IRA because you likely will make too much money. So you would therefore take your post-tax dollars and put them into a traditional IRA. You would consider it as a holding account. You would call Fidelity Vanguard, say, hey, I want to open up a traditional IRA. You put the $7,000 into the traditional IRA, you let it settle in the account, a day, 2 days, 10 days later, and then you call Fidelity back and you say, "Hi, I also want to open up a Roth IRA account." And you basically use the money that you put in the traditional IRA to fund the Roth IRA.
Yeah. So what you were saying there is okay, the IRS has an income limit when it comes to contributing directly to a Roth IRA, but they don't have that same income limit when it comes to contributing directly to a traditional IRA. Now, you make too much money to get any sort of tax benefit from the traditional IRA, but you can still put the money in the account. And that is what makes the backdoor Roth IRA process possible. If you make too much money, make over that $160,000 threshold as a single person or $250,000 threshold as a married person, what you do is you contribute to the Roth IRA indirectly. And the process of doing that is calling a brokerage firm, opening up a traditional IRA first, putting money in that account, letting the money settle, which just means waiting a few days, and then moving that money out of that traditional account and putting it into the Roth IRA. Because when you put the money in a traditional IRA first and then you move it to a Roth IRA, it's considered a Roth conversion. And there's no income limits on Roth conversions, just like there's no income limit on putting the money into a traditional IRA first. And so we're explaining why this is possible. But what you need to know is just, okay, you got to figure out, do I make too much money to contribute directly to a Roth IRA? That's question number one. Can I contribute directly or do I need to contribute indirectly? And the answer to that question depends on how much money you make. If you make under that threshold, you can contribute directly. Just call a brokerage firm and put the money directly into the account. If you cannot contribute directly because you make too much money, not a problem. Just call the brokerage firm, put the money in a traditional IRA first, wait a few days for it to settle, and then move the money into a Roth IRA. And that is a way for both people to contribute to a Roth IRA. The point of this story is that if you're an attending, right? And you didn't contribute to a Roth IRA as a trainee, or maybe you did, and you're just lamenting on the fact that you may not be able to use this account now. The purpose of this episode is saying, actually, you can. It doesn't matter how much money you make, you can contribute to a Roth IRA. The question is just, are you going to contribute directly or are you going to contribute indirectly? And so I think this is really helpful for a lot of people. I also want to make sure that people are aware that if you're over the age of 50, you can actually contribute more. Also, is the same for your work retirement accounts. If you are a little bit older, you have higher contribution limits for your job's 401k or 403b, and you also have higher contribution allowances for your Roth IRAs. And for the first scenario where we had a physician in training, it was like, hey, consider the Roth IRA, call the brokerage firm, open up the account, and handle your business. Or, as you mentioned, Brittany, if you can't contribute the full amount at one time, not a problem. Set smaller amounts and put it on autopilot so that each month you're contributing $200 or $500 or whatever. And then in scenario two, if you're an attending and you're making a lot more money, you probably can make a contribution all at once. But you're going to have to go through the back door, which means putting the money in a traditional IRA first, waiting a couple of days, and then moving the money to the Roth IRA, and then actually choosing how you want that money to be invested. And so I think hopefully people listening got some sort of clarity on like why that's possible and how to do it. And then our third scenario, Brittany, I know you have some personal experience with this, is a scenario where you had a locum stock or a doctor who did 1099 contract work. Let's say the doctor was not an employee anywhere. They are paid as a 1099 contractor. And I know that is very common for a lot of people who work in healthcare. They're paid as a 1099 contractor, and they said, hey, back in the day, my accountant or my friend or whomever advised me to open up a SEP IRA or advised me to put money in a simple IRA, these other kinds of IRA accounts, right? And they said, hey, I've got money in these other kind of accounts, but I want to be able to contribute to a Roth IRA. And I heard some rule about pro rata and all of this jazz about how I may not be able to do that. So, Brittany, you want to explain like why there might be some nuances there and how to fix that issue?
Lisha hinted that we had some experience with this because we do. We've made a lot of money mistakes, but they've contributed to this podcast. You can thank me later. So, we had a lot of 1099 income, and our accountant at the time told us to open up a SEP IRA. A SEP IRA stands for a Simplified Employee Pension Plan. And the reason why we were utilizing the SEP IRA is because just like a traditional IRA, it could have potential to lower your taxes because there are pre-tax contributions. And so therefore, that chunk of money that you contribute to the SEP IRA would not be taxable. The problem with this is anytime you are doing a Roth conversion, as we've talked about in the backdoor Roth IRA, the IRS will consider your total, your aggregate amount that is in any IRA. So that includes a SEP IRA, that includes a simple IRA, that includes traditional IRAs. We unfortunately had a SEP IRA and did not move the money in time in order to open up a solo 401k to like roll that money over. If you have any money in a traditional IRA, any money in a SEP IRA, and any money in a simple IRA, you have to figure out what you want to do with that money before you make a Roth conversion, because you likely will have to pay taxes twice and have double taxation on a portion of that money if you do not figure out a plan for it. And why that is because of the pro rata rule. I like to use numbers, very simple numbers to explain this. Say, for example, you have just a traditional IRA, and that traditional IRA has $8 in it. Okay. You want to backdoor some money into a Roth IRA and you make a contribution of $2. That is post tax. And then you have your contribution that of the traditional IRA that is pre tax. Total in that IRA account, that aggregate bucket of IRA money is $10. I hope that you all are following me here. When you go to convert or put that money into a Roth IRA, because 80% of your IRA amount is pre tax dollars and 20% is post tax dollars, they are going to charge you 80% taxes on that $2 that you roll over. Now, this is very simple. You're like, okay, 80% on $2, that's nothing. That's small change. I don't care. I'll just pay it. But when these numbers become much, much larger, you're paying significantly more taxes on that money. You have to come up with a solution for it before you attempt to do this backdoor conversion, because otherwise it's just going to make things complicated. And of course, we want to avoid additional taxes.
Yeah, so I think what you're saying is per the IRS rules, if you want to contribute to a Roth IRA, remember first question is like how much money do I make? Because that determines whether or not you can contribute directly or indirectly, right? But one thing to keep in mind is do you already have money in other types of IRA accounts, whether that's a simple IRA, a SEP IRA, a traditional IRA? Because per IRS rules, you cannot do the backdoor Roth IRA if you already have money in those other IRA accounts. So again, if you're somebody who makes under six figures a year, you don't have this problem. You don't have to worry about anything. You just contribute directly to a Roth IRA and go on about your business. If you're in the second camp where you make too much money to contribute directly to a Roth IRA and you're trying to do this backdoor Roth method, the next question you have to ask yourself is, do I already have money in other types of IRA accounts? And if the answer is yes, it's not a big deal. You just got to figure out how you're going to move that money out of the account, right? And so you can roll it over into your existing job's 401k or 403b, or you can roll that money into a solo 401k, which is totally fine. Or you can pay taxes on that money and move it into a Roth IRA. You have some different choices there. I'm trying not to get into the weeds on this podcast, but I basically am saying, okay, if you're going to do the backdoor Roth IRA method, make sure you don't already have money in other types of IRAs. And if you do, we've really got to think through, okay, how are we going to move that money out of the account? Because there are options available to you. We just got to explore which option may be best for you. Because how I might get the money out of the account might be different from how you might get the money out of the account based on your own situation and income level and tax situation and all of that. And so what Brittany was giving an example of is like what happens if you try to do the backdoor Roth IRA, even though you already have money in these other kind of accounts, you got to pay taxes on the amount of money that you moved. We really got to think through, okay, do you have money in these other kind of IRAs? And if so, how are we getting the money out of the account? And you know what, Brittany, I think it's really interesting though, because as we're going through these scenarios, you kind of alluded to one of your money mishaps, which
Mhm.
is you felt like you regretted not contributing to a Roth IRA when you were in training. Why did you feel that way? What made you first of all, was there a particular reason why you didn't do it? Not having enough money is a total fine reason. I'm just curious. And like, why do you regret?
When I was a resident, I felt this heavy charge of now I'm going to be making some money. I need to figure out what to do. I actually went to Bank of America and opened up a Roth IRA. I did open up a Roth IRA with their company, Merrill Edge. The advisor opened it up and I just contributed $1,000. That was about what I felt empowered to contribute at that time. I let them manage it. And then I saw that there was like significant amount of fees, which we can talk about at a later date on another podcast. And instead, I contributed to my employer's 401k. it was easier for me. It was like a lower mental lift while going through residency, but there was no match. So I'm just basically putting money in a pre-tax account, but the taxable benefits weren't that significant because at that time I wasn't making that much money. I feel like it's a missed opportunity for me to have put away money and pay little to no taxes on it because right now we make a lot more money
Okay.
than I did in
A lot more
residency.
money, huh? A lot more money.
And these are first world problems here. So I'm blessed, but I wish that because part of financial planning, part of being strategic with your money is retaining more of your wealth. How do you protect those assets, as Lisha mentioned, starting out? And protecting the assets is just decreasing your tax liabilities. I would have had to pay little to no taxes on that money to make the contributions to still get all of the tax benefits. And unfortunately, when I've rolled over my 401k, my old 401k, into a Roth IRA, it triggered a taxable event and I was at a higher tax bracket. So I was charged a significant amount of money now comparatively than what I would have been charged as a resident.
Yeah, I also didn't contribute to a Roth IRA, I think my first year in training, but I did the other years. And I actually did that on purpose, right? I made
Mhm,
a purposeful decision not to contribute to the Roth IRA. And that was because I was still in training and I didn't make that much money. And I said, look, I don't have enough money to invest in my job's 403B or 401k and invest money in a Roth IRA. I just didn't have it. And I had to choose which account I was going to prioritize. And you may be listening and thinking the same thing, Leisha, I can't do both at this point in time. I got other financial priorities. But at that time, that's how I felt. And so I was like, okay, if I have to choose which account, I had made a purposeful decision to choose my jobs for 3B, even though I didn't get a match either. And the reason is I knew that if I contribute to a 403B, it's a pre-tax account, so I was gonna save money in taxes, and then I had student loan payments, and I knew that if I were able to decrease my taxable income by contributing more money to this 403B or 401k, then it would lower my monthly student loan payments, and so I said, "Oh, this seems
mhm,
like a win-win, right? I get to pay less and my student loan payment is lower." Now, of course, I didn't know there was gonna be a coronavirus pandemic and the student loan payments would be paused and, like, all of this stuff. Hindsight's always 2020. But at that time, I made that decision with the information I had, and I wanted to articulate this because I think the audience may be hearing 2 different perspectives, right? One perspective is
mhm,
from someone like you who says, "Hey, I didn't contribute to a Roth IRA, and when I became an attending physician, I realized how valuable money in that account was, so I tried to do a Roth conversion. I had to pay a lot of money in taxes to do that." Versus someone like me
mhm,
who's saying, "I purposefully didn't contribute to a Roth IRA initially, right? Because I just didn't have that much money. Then I later decided to contribute." And so I think what we're trying to say is that both of us, Brittany, felt like a Roth IRA was really valuable. It was just
yeah,
we were in different financial situations in terms of figuring out, okay, if we're not where we want to be with our finances, but we still want to be able to invest, which accounts, again, we're going back to the beginning, which accounts do we prioritize? And
mhm,
both of us, neither one of us did the Roth IRA, and you had some regrets about that, and I didn't, but then now that we're where we are in our lives and we have a lot more money to invest, both of us definitely invest in Roth IRAs each year through the Backdoor Roth IRA process, and one of the reasons why we wanted to really delve into that on this podcast is because it's not too late for you. You were mentioning this earlier, is that one of the beauties of a Roth IRA, whether you're contributing directly or indirectly, is that you can make that contribution until the tax filing deadline. If you didn't
mhm,
have that account in 2023, you're okay. You can still open up that account, call a brokerage firm and say, "Hey, I want to open a Roth IRA." And you can do that process, whether it's directly or indirectly. And they'll ask you, is this going to be for your 2023 contribution or is this your 2024 contribution? It's not too late for you. You can still make that contribution. You can still contribute money to a Roth IRA and invest that money without it being too late for you. And so hopefully that is somewhat helpful. All right. As we close out this podcast, Brittany, you want to tell the people something fun that you are doing with money?
So right now, what I'm doing with money is purchasing some flights. I'm presenting at a conference, and my kids are going to Atlanta. So that's always fun. I'm also been learning about how to use some of our travel points to do so that got me excited that maybe I don't have to spend all of our money on these expensive flights to get us to where we need to go. And I can use some points in order to leverage that. What about you, Leisha?
First of all, I love using credit card points to book travel, and we'll have to dive into this in a later podcast about the most efficient ways to actually do that because a lot of people redeem points on their credit card travel portals, which is actually not the
Mhm.
best way to get the most value out of your credit card points. We'll have to talk about that, give the people some gems.
Mm,
But something fun that
okay.
I am doing with money is I am buying Girl Scout cookies. Actually, like leaving my job the other day and actually, it was maybe a few weeks ago. I was getting my parking ticket validated. The person who's validating my ticket, she had some cookies on her desk. And I was like, "Are those Thin Mints?" Which is like a type of Girl Scout cookies. And she was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Where did you get those?" And she was like, "Oh, so and so on the third floor is selling Girl Scout cookies for her daughter." And I was like, "What? No one told me." I love Girl Scout cookies. And she was like, "Okay, Dr. Taylor, I'm gonna tell her to come and find you." And I was like, "You do that." And so she told the lady, and the lady came and found me. She goes, "Dr. Taylor, I heard that you wanted some Girl Scout cookies." And I'm like, "Yes, I do. I want the Thin Mints. I want the Tagalongs. I want the lemon one." And so she's okay. She's like adding it up. And Brittany, that number that she gave me, I was like, "What? Did I order 10 boxes of cookies? What is happening?" And I go, "How much are the cookies?" And she goes, "They're $6 a box." I go, "$6?" I was like, "When I was a Girl Scout, they were $3." She starts laughing. And then she goes, "Dr. Taylor, now come on." Because basically she's saying, "Dr. Taylor, I know you're a whole doctor and you make a lot of money. And why are you fussing over $6?" Which I guess she did have a point, but I guess this is my frugal nature is I don't like spending too much. But anyway, I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna help the Girl Scouts out, but we got to work on this inflation." I am really pleased with the Girl Scout cookies. Of course, I've eaten way more than I should, but that is something fun that I'm doing with money.
Yeah, those Girl Scout cookies can be addictive. I like the ones with the peanut butter. I don't recall their names,
With the
but
chocolate
whichever
or
ones.
no chocolate?
No chocolate. No chocolate.
What? Do you
I
not
think
like
they're
the
called, like,
chocolate?
the
It's like a
Sandies.
Reese's in cookie form. How can you not like the Reese's in
No.
cookie form?
I like Reese's. I just don't like chocolate cookies. I don't like chocolate cake.
Um,
I don't
you don't
know.
like
It's
chocolate
something
cake?
strange. But I like chocolate. It's so strange.
Huh? It is I'm confused. We're ending this episode, and I'm a bit confused as about Brittany's taste buds. If you too are confused with Brittany's taste buds, let us know. Anyway, we thank y'all for listening this week. Don't forget to rate and review this podcast, share it with everyone that you know. And of course, we cannot wait to see you again next week.
Bye-bye.
Hey, money best friend, we want to buy you a drink.
On this show, we are all about spilling the tea on our finances and our personal lives, but we also want to share a little bit more tea with you. Basically, we're trying to give you a free drink on us.
All you have to do in order to put your name in this drawing for a free drink is to leave a review.
Hopefully, you'll give us 5 stars and share this podcast with others that you know. Whenever you rate and review the podcast, it just makes it easier for other people who maybe haven't heard of us before to find us.
Rate and review, subscribe to the podcast, and don't forget to share with your girlfriend. Cheers.
Hello, everybody. It's me, Brooke. I'm recording a little disclaimer for my mommy, Dr. Brittne Halford, and her friend, Dr. Lisha Taylor. Just so you know, they're not financial advisors, tax professionals, lawyers, or financial planners. Everything you hear is for education and entertainment. It's not strict financial advice, So use your best judgment, chat with a tax professional, and all those other people that you need to talk to. Thanks for tuning in today. Keep cruising on your journey to wealth and wellness. Bye-bye.
Now, a final word from our sponsor. At Pearson Rabbits, they understand that life can change in an instant. It's hard to imagine that a sudden illness, injury, or catastrophic event could put you and your family in a devastating financial situation.
Physician-founded and physician-focused, Pearson Rabbits builds human connections before they create quotes, and they're a great company that can help you get the disability insurance that you need. Visit www.pearsonrabbits.com today and embark on a journey of safeguarding your financial future.